Everybody likes a nice tone. All right, welcome back. We are going to be going over conducting business over the internet, and this is super simple. All the rules still apply. Everything that you do when you're meeting with someone in person, same thing when you're conducting business online. Got it? Pretty simple. Each website or homepage of an insurance producer or insurance companies shall contain each address, phone number, contact details for the insurance producers and insurance companies. Do you understand why we have a hub site now? Because all 50 states have access to the same website, so it has to be approved. That's why all the content that's on our hub site is uniform. And you have to select the state first, because then it'll tell you what plans are available in that state. So, let's talk about non-resident producers. Non-resident producers have the same opportunities that resident producers have. The difference is they have to do whatever is required to get licensed in their state in order to now get licensed in our state. Okay, so it used to be that you could just get licensed in Missouri if you lived in a different state and you didn't have to get licensed in your state. That's not true anymore. If they're part of the National Insurance Producer Registry, you have to be licensed in your home state first. So you have to satisfy those requirements for whichever state in which you live, and then you can apply for a license in Missouri. And they recognize whatever background check investigation that they did for that state is going to be enough for Missouri. And that is truly what the reciprocity aspect of our licensing is. So anybody have any questions about that? Okay, perfect. Person is they must be currently licensed in their state and be a resident in good standing in their state. So in other words, if they lost their license in Iowa, they can't get their license in Missouri. They have to be licensed in their home state and in good standing in order for reciprocity to kick in. Okay, the director is going to verify that they are licensed. They actually use a third party to do that, but it is verified. Licensing is completely verified. Same thing still apply. If you live in Iowa, you're licensed in Missouri, and you move down the street in Iowa, you still have to let the director know within how many days? 30 days. Guys, it's Saturday morning. We haven't had enough caffeine. It's actually Saturday afternoon now, but that's beside the point. Okay, continuing education. How much continuing education is required for you to maintain your license in the state of Missouri? Will?
Zero.
Zero. There is no continuing education requirements. So what is required to maintain your license? Paying $100 every 2 years and?
Be in good standing with
Be in good standing, correct.
Two more things.
Two more things.
Not owe the IRS and not be behind child support.
Not owe the IRS and not be behind in child support, and that's not exactly accurate.
Okay.
You can be behind in child support, you can owe the IRS, but you have to be in a agreed upon, good standing payment plan in order to be licensed. So, good point. But it says right here, at this time, continuing education is not required for renewal of the prepaid legal license. So we move on. Renewal. Again, you're going to see in this, when you're looking at the study guide, you're going to see that on these pages, how am I now? Is the audio okay? Okay. On these pages, you're going to see a lot of font that you can't read. It's super small. Okay? For point of reference, that's covered in other sections already. And it's what's supposed to be there, but I'm not going to have you try and reread what you've already read. So I'll let you know what it was, the section number, and we've reduced it to a font so you know immediately at a quick glance that you don't need to review it. Got it?
Got it.
Okay. So, if the failure to notify the director of a change in address results in the inability to serve the insurance producer with the complaint as provided in this section, then the director may immediately do what to your license? Revoke or suspend until such time that service can be provided. Okay, so again, we talked about that earlier. It's really, really, really important that you keep them up to date on your whereabouts. Okay, relief issued by the director for violations of state laws, considerations notice, effective date of order, contents order, procedures, penalty, cost, power of direction, power of director, service, order filed, noncompliance, Modification order, additional penalties and definitions are all going to be covered in this next section. And we're going to sum it up pretty good. The director, after a hearing in this section, may order a civil penalty or forfeiture payment payable to the state of Missouri, which penalty or forfeiture, if unpaid within 10 days, may be recovered through a civil action brought by and in the name of the director. The civil action may be brought in the county which has venue of action against a person, partnership, or corporation under the provisions of law. The director may also revoke or suspend the license or certificate of authority of such a person for any willful violation. Okay, and then it says, and this is going to sound like review again, nothing contained in this section shall be construed to prohibit the director or any person subject to an investigation, examination, or other proceeding from agreeing to a voluntary forfeiture of the sum mentioned herein without civil proceedings being instituted. Any sum so agreed upon shall be paid to the school funds as provided by law for other fines and penalties. You guys heard that before? Okay. So, basically, what it says is there's going to be, if you're found in the wrong, there's going to be fines, fees, and penalties. Okay? You will have to pay that within how many days? 10. Are they going to try and recover through other action, using typically a court of competent jurisdiction. And I think the words they used here, I will find it, has venue of an action. So the court that is bringing up the action is going to be the one that's going to go to recover that. Suspension, revocation, or refusal of a license, grounds, and procedures. Here, are you ready? The director may suspend, revoke, refuse to issue, or refuse to renew a license for anyone for any of the following reasons. Basically, within their power, if you do something wrong, you're going to have to answer. And if they don't like your answer, they can do whatever they want. Is that simple enough? Let's talk about some of those things. Intentionally providing materially incorrect, misleading, or incomplete or untrue information in the license application. So you falsify somebody's application. Okay? You falsify your application. Violating any insurance laws. Obtaining or attempting to obtain a license through material misrepresentation or fraud. Improperly withholding, misappropriating, or converting any monies or properties received in the course of doing insurance business. Intentionally misrepresenting. There's a lot of these in here, but basically, here's what it says. If you commit a crime, if you misrepresent, if you do any of the things that we're going to cover in marketing practices, if you break the license laws, there's a really good chance that they're going to refuse to deny you or at least force you to go through a process to become relicensed or to stay licensed. There's a lot of different things in here. Okay? But in the event that the action by the director is to not renew or deny an application for a license, the director shall notify the applicant or licensee in writing and advise the applicant or licensee of the reason for denial or renewal. What do you do then? You have the right to appeal. Okay, you have the right to go back and look at it. You have the ability to go in and select appeal. Listen, every insurance producer licensed in this state shall notify the director of any change in address or forms prescribed herein. So before that, they talk about the appeal so that they can get a hold of you. You need to have your address updated. And it goes back and says again about suspension. Okay, you have the ability to request an appeal within how many days?
30 days.
30 days. Okay, an insurance producer shall report to the director any administrative action taken against a producer in another jurisdiction by another governmental agency in this state within 30 days. Okay, what does that mean? It means people will know. It's real simple. They're going to notify people. If you commit a crime in another state, if you lose your license in another state, your state's going to know. If you commit a crime in this state, they're going to notify your state if you're a non-resident producer. Okay, within 30 days of the initial pre-trial hearing date, a producer shall report to the director any criminal prosecution for a felony or crime involving moral turpitude of the producer taken in any jurisdiction. So what does that mean? And this is going to be kind of crazy, so I'm going to say this. You may want to edit it. But here's the deal. If you kill somebody you may be able to get relicensed. But if you steal their wallet afterwards, you may not be able to get relicensed. So they're looking for crimes of moral conviction specifically in addition. Now, any felony is going to be a big red flag. So edit that off, by the way. Thought about that after the fact. Jim told me to. Okay. So, appointment and termination of insurance producers. Okay, there's a lot of information in here, but basically it all talks about the timetable, appointing you as a license. It defines what you have to do. It defines what happens if Legal Shield terminates you. It talks about the fact that the public's going to be given notice if you're terminated as an insurance agent or a licensee in the state. So it talks about all that. So you can read through that, but we're going to cover a lot of that. We've already covered most of it, but we're going to cover it again in the summary section. And the next section that we're going to go into after this, and we're going to go ahead and pause this video, but we're going to go into marketing practices.